I'm just gonna put on a speed paint in the background of the video so that you guys won't get bored of me while I talk. This was a rather hard video to make. I've been wanting to make it for a long time, but fear always drove me to just not make this. However, with everything that's been happening, not to mention all the lies that people are trying to spread about me, I just don't care anymore. I'm done. I'm tired of being silent about all this. I don't care what Moboxers fans do to me anymore. A little bit of context as to who Mobox is, so some of you guys who are watching and probably don't even know who I'm talking about won't get confused. Mobox, or Mobox87, also known as Goldbox on YouTube, is a popular FNAF animator. He's mostly known for his MS Paint animations that he did back in like 2015, stuff like that, of like FNAF songs and everything. He has a FNAF AU called the Affinity AU, and a lot of people know him off of that and from his YouTube animations as well. He was also the original owner of the Fanatic Anime 1 channel, which he's not the owner of anymore, but like while he was on there, he would make like creepypasta MS Paint animations of a series called Jeff and Friends. Yeah, it doesn't belong, like the channel. The channel doesn't belong to him anymore. It belongs to his sister now. So, allow me to explain how I was associated with Mobox. I worked on a webcomic with him called Plan Thai, which never got off the ground. It ended up being cancelled after like 3 months? Three months, I think? I also bought his characters from Faces of Nothing, which was an old game that he was planning on making, which also got cancelled. I bought Phantom Scott, and as well as his parents, Morbius and Klames, though Morbius and Klames were given to me by a friend of mine. I was really close with his family as well, his mother, his sister, and his brother, due to personal matters. However, I've changed up Phantom Scott's story, and this is shown in my game Phantasma, as well as the lore for Morbius and Klames as well. So I met Mobox in 2017. I was 14 years old while he was 17. Though I knew of his work since I was around like 11 or 12 years old. I'd watch a lot of his MS Paint animations back in the day, and I'd look at his Tumblr from time to time. Back like way back then. I used to have an account back in 2015 on Scratch, where my content was like nothing but like fan-made works from Mobox, and sometimes of his ex-friend, The Metric, who was a friend of Mobox's at the time, back in like 2015, 2016, I think, 2016. And I'd make fan art of their characters on occasion. I'd specifically make fan art of Theme's old persona on there, and James, who was an old OC. He was an old like rabbit FNAF OC who was shipped with Mobox's Bonbon at the time. I feel like I'm getting a bit off topic. Anyway, we met due to Mobox answering my ask about Dr. Solemn in his Q&A video that he had made at the time, and it was the first ask that he had answered.
Who can sell meat with his mask on?
People worry about that. I can't lie with a mask all my life.
For some context, Dr. Solemn is a character from Mobox. He was in his original work called Sassy's Palace, Very bad guy. Very, very, very bad guy. I do not like him anymore. I do not. After this, I messaged Mobox thanking him for putting my ask in the video, after which I had asked if the two of us could be friends, and he said yes to this. And then afterwards, we became friends. During this time, me and Mobox talked for a little bit. I'd show him fan art that I'd make of his work, which was Sassy's Palace. It was called Sassy's Place back then. I used to be a big fan of it. I don't care about it anymore, mainly because back in the day, whenever I was like 14, I didn't understand how gross the content in that work was, and with me being a child, not understanding what was really going on in the work of Sassy's Palace, like the rape, the murder, Dr. Solemn in general. I didn't understand how bad things in that work were back then. And in fact, not a lot of people did either back then, and even still now with all of his like fan base and all that. Because everyone in Mobox's fan base were minors, and they still are minors. And even Mobox. Mobox was like a minor himself back in like 2017, whenever he had like made Sassy's Palace. And back then, yeah, he was a minor. He was 17, and even today, there's still minors in Mobox's fan base. Like his fan base is like the majority of which is minors, and Mobox knows it. But not a lot of people really call him out for his behavior, and when they do, they get harassed. Speaking of harassment, back in the day, Mobox would get really angry at like art theft and stolen character designs. I've had a few people share their experiences with me about this topic who were harassed themselves back in the day. It was silly, petty drama that just never should have existed. And on top of that, Mobox really normalized this behavior for me, and probably plenty of other people as well, as this type of thing would happen pretty often. Back in the day of like 2017 through like 2019 mainly, I was a White Knight fan too. I mean, I would constantly defend Mobox, thinking that he would do no wrong thing. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. As well as harassing people back in the day over petty things like character theft. And I say that with huge quotations. And Mobox enabled the behavior for me by encouraging it, kind of like egging it on in a way. There used to be a lot more things with this, however, they have been lost due to time. As well, I have Mobox blocked, and Mobox has me blocked everywhere as well. These, from 2019, these messages in Facebook, while I was working with Mobox on Plantai, these were the only ones that like survived out of everything. In two of these Facebook messages, he was talking about a character from Plantai called Levin Nightshade, and someone had said that hey, this character, this Levin guy that you have here, he sounds a lot similar to my character, and like this is kind of funny because before like Plantai had existed, and before like 11 was even a thing, Mobox would make fan art of this character called Nathan Nightshade from a fanfic. It was from a Cuphead fanfic called The Price of Freedom, and I believe that Mobox was quote unquote inspired by that, and he was inspired by Nathan, He was inspired by Nathan and created 11 off of that, in which, I mean, looking at Levin and like how he looks and like how he is, nothing really changed from like Nathan's design, like ported over to Levin's really, except that like Levin's was just a lot more muscular and he had legs. He had legs and a lighter body. That's it. But yeah, this the original creator of the Price of Freedom fanfic and of like Nathan, he had asked Mob to change it, and Mob like admitted to me that he wasn't going to change it. So with him getting all like angry over character theft and all that, and like art theft and all that back in the day, it just sounds like really hypocritical now that I'm looking at it. And like with me kind of like saying that, oh no, he doesn't look like Nathan. What are they talking about? I guess I just didn't look at like the big picture like closer. I didn't look at it like in like a really closer eye than I have been now. It just feels like a really hypocritical thing. Here is one of the call-out posts regarding a quote-unquote copy of Plantai. I say copy in very large quotations, as looking back on it, it wasn't a copy at all. People just wanted to make plant OCs, which is fine by me nowadays. I love a good plant OC because people just think it's cool. I like it. I don't mind if anybody like doesn't know anything about plants and wants to make a plant OC. I'm fine by all that now. I mean, I don't mind. Like, go for it. go for it. I don't care. Speaking of harassment, a friend of mine was also harassed by Mobox back in 2017 or 2018. These are some of his experiences with it as well.
Hello, my name is Kitty S, or as some may know me, Kitty TV/TVisDaddy, whatever you prefer. I was someone who had to deal with harassment from both Mobox and Nutt, but before starting, I want to say that Nutt has changed as a person and has grown a lot. This was all back in 2018, so I do not believe this should be used to say she's a bad person or anything like that. She has since said sorry to me, and is no longer friends with Mobox. She is a very kind girl who didn't want to hurt anyone. Like, she didn't mean to do any of this shit to me. And she just didn't understand the people who were around her at the time. The call-out post about this has since been taken down, because Nutt has taken it down, and Mobox, I believe, just took it down due to the drama. So I cannot show any screenshots about the drama, because as I just said, Nutt, being the polite and beautiful girl she is, has taken it down. Thank you, Nutt, I love you. Back in mid-2018, Nutt had found my Tumblr, saying I was copying Mobox due to also having a FNAF. They sent me a few asks in my inbox about it, and in a very rude way. I told them that I was not copying since I was not, and I went on with my day. Mobox had blocked me a long time ago before all this drama. And honestly, to this day, I still don't even know why they blocked me before all this happened. I started to get more DMs from people asking me about Mobox and me copying them. After some time, Nutt went into my DMs and started talking to me. Here are some DMs of Nutt showing proof that I was copying Mobox. This drawing here was a copy. I admitted it to Nutt that the top drawing was a copy of Mobox's drawing. The bottom one that was a redraw, I did not try to copy. It was only a redraw, and I personally don't see any similarities to it. I even told her this, and I made it very clear to her. Nutt was showing me a lot of my older art, and not really proving any points that my newer stuff was still copying, seen in the screenshots here. Something I do want to make a small note of is that me and Nutt were both acting very childish, since at the time I believe I was only 12, and Nutt was only 15. So I do apologize for like any spelling errors, or if you're having a hard time reading it. I'll make a Google Doc explaining the chat a bit better if anyone has a hard time. And this screenshot here will be the last one I'll show from the copy saga, as I like to call it. Before I get into this part, I just want to make a huge note for whoever has seen the call-out post. Nut did say a lot of fucked up shit about me. She said some terrible things about me and my art. But this is in the past. I've talked to Nut in DMs and I can say she's changed. She's honestly a beautiful, caring person. And I can say with pride that she would generally never say this or the stuff she said to me in the past to anyone else. And I'm honestly so grateful that, like, she took that call-out post down when I asked. Even, like, we were still on bad terms, but she took it down nonetheless. So I don't want to see, like, anyone talking shit about her, saying anything bad about her, or her artwork, or anything like that. Because, like, this is something that happened in 2019 to 2018. People should not be holding this against her, and I, as, like, the victim in this, like, me and Nut are both victims. I want to say that, like, she did nothing wrong. She was 15, she was stupid, she did some stupid shit. We all have done that, and like I said, as the victim, I don't want to see anything happen. She has said sorry to me, and she's honestly a sweetheart. After all of this, me and Nut didn't talk much, and a lot of the drama just died out. I didn't have anyone DMing me about the drama or anything really. Nut would DM me here and there and even added me on Facebook. I don't believe I followed her, but I know she followed me on my main Tumblr. Part 2. Late 2018 going into 2019. Nut and I were talking about my art and how I could fix up some stuff. A lot of the parts of my art are just a part of my art style, so I told her this. I don't really know how, but somehow it turned into a chat about Mobox. I didn't like Mobox anymore, and I just had a dislike to his art, now since I found his art to be rushed and poorly made. This was just my opinion, and I explained that to Nut. I told this to Nut, and she got very upset with me and made a new call-out post. Once more, me and Nut went into a Discord call this time, and we talked things out. I explained stuff. Her sister was there, my ex-boyfriend was there, and we kind of just talked stuff out, and I feel like we became decent acquaintances, because if I'm not wrong, she also added me on Facebook again, we were friends on Discord, she followed my Tumblr, I followed her, and yeah, we kind of just got back on good terms again, and she took down the post again, which once more, thank you so much, Nut, like I said, we were both dumb kids, and Nut is a very respectful person, and she immediately took down the post after we talked things out and she got a better understanding. This was the part where Theme, an ex-friend of Mobox, came in. They also made a small call-out post about me, but only I, Mobox, Nut, and a few more of Theme's friends saw it, or so I believe. The blog was on private. One other user by the name of Eggheart, this is a code name, I'm not going to give out her actual name, also contacted me saying I was a bad person for copying, and started to pull up artwork of my OC saying they were also copies. My inbox was filled with people telling me really bad stuff about my art, how I was stealing a style, and shit like that. So after crying, I grew some balls and I used an alt account. I contacted Mobox. I no longer have these DMs due to Mobox deleting our chats after blocking my ult, but I was trying to tell him that I didn't mean to copy his art from 2019 or 2018, since I didn't, and I also wanted to tell him that you can't copy his style. He acted like a child the whole time and only sent me this weird emoticon. I ended up breaking down pretty badly, begging him to remove the post. That was when he blocked me for a good month. A lot of people were telling me to kill myself. My art was worthless, I was worthless, stuff like that. This is something I also told to Mobox, and it legit sucks to me that he didn't say anything in his call-out post about not attacking me or anything like that. I ended up just saying fuck it and changing my username and not posting much on Tumblr anymore. This had a huge impact on me and my art. I didn't change it a lot, honestly, but I did my best to make my style look nothing like Mobox's or Nuts anymore. this drama is something that I feel like is always going to be a huge part of me as an artist, since even to this day I always feel a bit wary when I draw fan art, since I like to try and recreate the style, so I never know if that drama is like gonna come back, or if someone's gonna someone like Mobox is gonna come on my ass and say I was copying them or something. I was a very young child, 13 years at the time of these attacks, and although I do not think that is in the wrong due to her also being a child, I believe Mobox should have stepped in and said something to me, or not acted like a child when I told him that this stuff was happening. And that's all I have to say about this for now. Unless any new updates come out, I'll leave them in the comments. I want to say thank you to Nut for letting me talk about this and giving my side of the story with you. Nut is a great person, and you should definitely subscribe and follow her accounts. Like, she's honestly just a great and lovely person. I love you, Nut. Thank you once again.
I don't like how I was back then. I was a horrible person. I can admit that, okay? I can admit that I've done some pretty nasty things in the past, and yeah, I mean, I've grown, I've changed as a person, you know? Like, if I hadn't grown and changed as a person, I would have never have realized that what Mobox has done just hasn't been okay. So glad I've changed, glad I'm living a better life now. Mobox would stalk my blog as well, and he'd call me out for the most tiniest things in my works, such as a thing in an old concept version of my web series Allergy to Shadows, where he called me out for saying that Samantha would have been weak. This was an early version of Allergy to Shadows that was obviously scrapped. And he called me out for my version of Cagney, specifically passive Cagney. She's in my Cuphead holding her fan child that I have made for her and Blind Spectre wrong. I can explain this. She was a bad parent back then. She knows nothing about kids. I remember me addressing me like working on Plantai with Mobox on Tumblr, but I was never credited for my work. I was never credited for my work at all. But yeah, that happened. Then back in like 2020, Mobox had made an OC who was Cassian's uncle, and this OC was called Kyle Davis. Now, if you're a fan of my work or you watch my web show, you may think, hey, doesn't Nutcracker also have an OC by the name of Kyle Davis? And you would be correct. I had shown Kyle to Mobox back in 2019 while we were working on Plantai, as he was originally based on Mobox. And Mobox had said that he had really liked Kyle, and when I first saw that Mobox had like stolen like my character's name, I just brushed it off, and I thought nothing of it until late 2021 when I realized that everything that Mob did wasn't okay at all. Speaking of me not realizing what Mob had done before was gross, let's just talk about the CP that he drew back in 2020, which he and his boyfriend, Nikolai, covered up by saying that it was a joke about his pet rabbits at the time. A few of my mods in my Discord server back then had talked to me about it back when it first was posted, and, well, I was skeptical and naive. I mean, I was still a kid. I was like 17. Mob had said that the drawings were like jokes, and I believed him like the white knight that I used to be. I'd love to go back in time and just give myself a long lecture about why that's not the case. For example, the drawings were way too detailed, like fully colored and shaded and everything, to be a joke, etc., etc. But I'm just glad I realized it later. Fast forward to 2021. Mobox put the Faces of Nothing characters on sale. Faces of Nothing was a series that was going to be a game, but also never got to see the light of day like Plant High and was cancelled. During this time, this was in April, like before I realized what Mob had done wasn't okay, I bought Phantom Scott. Later on in the year, Mobox had shown off his block list on Facebook with me being in it, and well, he talked badly about me behind my back about personal things in the comments. It was a little while after this that I'd finally realized that after all this time, just that the CP that Mob drew wasn't okay, along with his work in general. A lot of weird stuff is in his work, even with like the Affinity U, especially Sassy's Palace, but yeah, with the Affinity U as well. I'd realized a lot of weird stuff was in the Affinity U. And I felt, well, disgusted about it, especially since Mob had covered it up by saying that it was a joke and the like. It was around this time that my friend bought Morbius and Clamas for me, since I was uncomfy with even interacting with Mobox around this time, to which I still am now, by the way. I have him blocked everywhere now, so I don't really have to interact with him personally anymore, which is good. I've changed the lore from these characters completely and separated them from their original work along with Phantom Scott. And back when Mobox had Morbius and Clamas, the two used to be in a toxic relationship. However, I changed this, so it's just way more wholesome with no toxicity, which is nice. And around this time, I had reclaimed all the plants that I worked on Plant High, which were the Deadly Nightshades here. Mob had owned only the designs while I made the names and backstories for them, so I redesigned them all, as Mobox only owned the original designs for them. I think they look a lot better now. After this happened, Mobox started drawing the Nazis, and well, I was pretty offended and upset over this. So I started telling people in private about the things that he had done, which was the CP and the Nazi art, to which I unknowingly, accidentally told a white knight about it, and they got mad, telling Mobox about what I was doing. I'll just show the screenshots here. This was before Mobox made a post saying that he prefers to go by he, him pronouns now. In the end, the white knight got a friend request from Mobox out of it, and Mobox said this to me in Tumblr, not even allowing me to respond, as he had blocked me right after, as like the white knight had told Mobox about what I had said to them. First of all, I had never said that he liked drawing it. I just said that he drew it. That he drew it in general. I never said that he liked drawing it. There's a fine line with those things. Okay, there's a difference. There's a difference with that. After this, Mobox made his first quote-unquote apology, to which he wasn't specific about what he did, nor did he mention the Nazis, and his fans forgave him. However, a few hours after this, Mobox came up to me in Discord and he started harassing me. To which afterwards he blocked me and I blocked him, and he left me alone for about a month. To which afterwards he quote-unquote apologized to me, like a personal quote-unquote apology to me. And I believed it because I thought he would actually change, to which, of course, he didn't, as he posted the Nazi OCs on his OC gallery later on, like back in like February of 2022. An important thing to note here as well, the month before he posted the Nazi OCs in the gallery, back in February, in January, me and several other people in our Discord were talking about how much we had wanted the Sassy Spells characters to be on sale. Me especially with Doremu, as I had bought a plush of him from Mobox back in 2019. However, Mobox said this in response, saying that he was working on a secret project with them and that he wouldn't be selling them. Keep this in mind for later, by the way. Afterwards, a Tumblr blog called Mobox Critique popped up. Thank Jehovah for that. And Mobox made his second quote-unquote apology on Facebook, to which it got deleted due to people holding him accountable for his behavior in the comments. Though, after this, Mobox came into our Discord server and lied to everyone's faces, saying that the Nazi characters that he drew weren't his, which makes no sense, because if the Nazi characters weren't his, why would they be in your OC gallery specifically made for your OCs? After this stuff happened, my friend known as Crying Blossom uploaded a video about everything, as there had been a document that surfaced about Mobox's behavior. And then Mobox harassed them, along with Nikolai, his partner, as well. And then after that, Blossom made a 20-minute long response video talking about said harassment. And after that, Mobox left our Discord server and said that since Blossom had harassed him, he'd be calling his lawyer, to which, after getting backlash, he quickly deleted that post, which was on his Tumblr, hid his Tumblr from the search bar, and hid his YouTube comments. After this occurred, Mobox made a post announcing that the entire project of Sassy's Palace, including all of the characters, had been sold to one person. And this had made me pretty angry at the time, as Mobox blatantly lied to me and other people's faces about him not selling the characters. As I had mentioned earlier, though nowadays I don't care anymore, but it still hurts that he lied to my face about it. Later on, Mobox had stated the name of the person who brought these characters. They are owned by a person named Project Kayumi on Instagram. However, people on the Mobox Critique blog have speculated that this account is a fake, and Mobox had only pretended to sell the characters as an act of damage control. Which, I mean, that makes sense knowing the Mobox. He's done it before several times as a response due to people calling him out for his behavior. But that would still be a really bad thing to do, as Mobox would not only be lying to me and the people in the Discord server, but to his fan base as well, who are practically all minors. A short while after this, Mobox's sister talked to me, as I had noticed that I had been kicked from her Discord server, and my friend made a private chat so me and her could talk. It didn't end well. Mobox's sister defended Mobox in all of it, as well as admitting to lying to her fans about her being scared, about her thinking that Mobox was going to take her channel back due to him drawing Jeff and Friends, which is a series that Mobox's sister works on now. Mobox used to own it back in the day, on occasion. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is for context to this next part right here. So, a short while after this, the people in the Mobox Critique blog made a video about Mobox, going into a deep dive of his content along with the stuff he's done, to which Mobox's sister's husband began to try and spread lies about me due to my talk with Mob's sister. This I can debunk. I don't copy Mobox at all. The majority of my work is based off of people that I know and my own experiences with life. For example, Calvin is based off the childhood innocence I used to have, along with my massive trust issues that I have these days. Samantha is based off of myself. Sebastian is based off the people in my abusive household, etc., etc. I'm not jealous of Mobox. On the contrary, I don't care what he does to me, nor do I want to be associated with him or be his friend anymore. I'm finally confident to speak up for myself, and for that reason, I've made this video that you're watching right now. As well, I have a webcomic on Twitter called FHS Rewritten, which is a fan comic of the web series FHS. That is a rewrite of the first season of FHS that I'm actually planning on turning into a video game, since I haven't been interested in working on comics much anymore. However, this comic, as well as the video game they plan on making, is a fan-made thing. It's an AU of mine. It's fan-made. I've never stated that I'm the owner of the work of FHS, and I never will. FHS belongs to Edo-chan, and there's even a disclaimer on the first page of my comic, as well as the cover of my comic. However, the AU FHS Rewritten belongs to me. It's a fan-made creation. I don't own FHS, but I own my AU of it. Take something like FHS Afterbite, for example. FHS Afterbite is an FHS AU in the form of a fanfic made by the voice actor of Fred. It's fandom type. He owns that AU, but he doesn't own FHS. Edo does. Many people in the FHS fandom create their own fan-made webcomics about the series, which are also AUs. This is no different from that. Anyway, that's about it. I've since blocked Mobox as well as his family after all this stuff went down. I'm done with that mess. I'm turning the page. I hope you guys liked this video. I'm never going to make something like this again, but it needed to be addressed. Just expect a normal video from me next time I upload in between original Shadows episodes unlike this video. Bye for now. I'll see you guys in another video.